Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who apologizes for the title to this video. Listen, I'm gonna stand behind the idea, okay, that this new album, Change by Anika, that Anika as a singer reminds me of a combination between Jim Morrison and Nico, okay? I'm gonna stand behind that comparison and I'm going to explain it. But it is kind of a cheap thing that music critics do, This plus that equals that. Too often it ends up reducing all three elements, oversimplifies all three elements, and it just ends up being sort of a shorthand, pithy, attention-grabbing trick. But this is Thunderground Thursday, the day where I try to review albums that have a little bit lower profile than the stuff I review for the rest of the week. And it is my hope that you listen to this album and experience it. And I think this is a fun way to imagine this singer, this songwriter, this performer as a combination between these two singers who I don't think are often put together in the same category. The ways in which she reminds me of Jim Morrison is the fact that she's a great singer without being a great singer. She has sort of a limited range. She'll often sort of speak, but she uses everything she has so well. She has great poetic insights. She has that cool ability to sort of take everyday sentences and disembody them and recontextualize them in a way that makes them deeper. She has that charisma, that's sort of like that lead singer charisma, which not everybody has. Now, apparently, she started off as a journalist. I have not listened to her first album, which came out a decade ago, so I'm not an expert on Anika. This is my first experience with her music. But based on the limited research I did, she started off as a journalist, and then she was born in England, but lives in Germany. And so that's where the sort of Nico comparisons might come in. I really enjoy Nico's singing, both as a solo artist and with Velvet Underground, and just the way that both Nico and Anika are just, okay, they're single-named blondes from Europe. Okay, that's one comparison. That's the most superficial. But there's something very sort of worldly, imperious about Anika's voice. That feeling that she's just high above you, like a queen. Like not everybody who sings is a king or a queen. You know what I mean? Like most people aren't. They just sing and they're there. But she has that really ethereal, low voice, that sort of pan-European, sort of far away aura to her. So you take those two sort of personalities and put them together, and that's the kind of lead singer that she is. Now, as far as I can tell, again, based on my limited research, she's also making most of the music here. And the music is really good and very interesting. It's mostly a set like a bed for her words, it seems. But it's a cool kind of mixture of sort of like early electronica, sort of German and American kind of early synthesizer music with sort of a trip-hop vibe as well. Damn it, I don't like saying the word vibe. A trip-hop feel. Apparently, she was discovered by Jeff Barrow of Portishead, and they had a band together. And this is the thing. Between 2002 and 2018, I didn't pay any attention to music. So I missed this band, and I bet it's really good. If you know about the band that she was in before, please tell me in the comments how good is it, because I imagine it's quite good. The album, according to what I've read, is mostly about COVID. It's mostly made during COVID. I guess this is what prompted her to have some sort of sense of sort of empowerment and some sort of like desire to like make something in this time. She said in a press release that she's very inspired by Hannah Arendt's Banality of Evil. So I think there's also a little bit of sort of end of Trump era political. There's a very sort of low level politicalness on this album, in addition to contemplating the themes of loneliness. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the album. I'm going to go through it track by track, sort of point out some really nice, odd things about this album, kind of contradictory things about this album. But first I'm going to give you my homework. So if you don't know, I give one song that's a good example if you've never heard the music or the musician. So the song I'm choosing is the second track, Critical. I'll put a link to it up there where my finger is, unless I'm pointing to the wrong place, in which case it's up there. I do the hokey pokey. That is what it's all about. So this song is a great exemplifies her style. A kind of sad thumping beat. Doom, doom, and then a very cute sort of 80s computer sound with this little ascending notes. It's this sort of catchy thing. And it leads right into the chorus. The song itself just has one chorus and one verse that repeat with different instrumentation underneath. But these kinds of lyrics has that feeling I'm talking to you about, that ethereal feeling, the sort of haughty, imperious feeling. I always give my man the last word. I always give him what he deserves. But don't forget that little twist of cyanide in his little gift. I swallowed the last word there on purpose because I listened to this song and I couldn't figure out what she was saying. Don't forget the little twist of cyanide in his little kiss, in his little gift, in his little wrist. I couldn't quite figure out what it is. She has a way of swallowing this last word, according to the lyrics that she authorized on Lyric Genius. It is gift, right? So that's what it is. But it's this great sort of twist and turn where it's about this relationship with a man and she's being very submissive, but at the same time she's poisoning him. There's a lot of issues of not necessarily feminism, but maybe difficulty between men and women and the way women can be put down and the need to have them rise up. Okay, that's feminism, but you get what I'm saying. Like it doesn't come across as a we can do it album. It's sort of more about her own personal struggles. But just a good example of her style of lyrics, slightly menacing, kind of engaging, and just that cyanide in his little... After the first chorus comes, then all of a sudden we get to this weird sort of like house trip-hop drum beat that seems to come out of nowhere for this first verse, which contains some more of her, that kind of poetic insight, the kind of poetic style. The seas are empty, seize the drink, seize the day. He who sees his ego may not see through, may not see you, but I see through him. So this, whoever this person is that she's talking about, singing about, I think it could actually be Trump. I don't know. Or it could be a bad relationship she's in. I don't know. But, you know, kind of playing along with the seas are empty as in the ocean, seize the drink as in to take something, and when he sees his ego, playing with homonyms in a very kind of funny, clever way. And then before the chorus comes back in, there's like a full Doors-style organ line, and that's where I got the connection to Jim Morrison going in my head because it sounds a little bit like some song off of the Doors. And it mixes together with the layers of keyboards, and you know, I talk about a lot on this channel about layering, the importance of layering, and with computer music, knowing how to layer with subtlety and with style, with grace, is one of the hardest things because everything is available to you. You can put infinite layers on infinite tracks for infinity. So the way she brings things in and takes them out is really nice. And then keeps riding along until sort of another part comes in, sort of upbeat 90s house style ending. So kind of all this mixes together to have all these great sounds and feelings and these weird lyrics, and I hope that when you listen to it, you enjoyed it as much as I did. I really enjoyed listening to this album, and that song's a good example why. I'm gonna go through the rest of the album now. It opens up with a track called Finger Pies, which is kind of a rocker. It actually reminds me of a different band. It reminds me a lot of Devo, in particular the song Coal Mine. It has the sort of, is Coal Mine even on this album? I think it is. No, it's not on this album, it's on a different one. Anyways, if you know which Devo album Coal Mine is on, put it in the comments. And like, and subscribe. I always forget to tell you to do that. I would like if you did that. That makes me happy when people do that. So it has kind of a coal mine vibe, kind of like kind of like keeps you going, has cool kind of cowbells, some really nice bass on here, and then her style of sort of saying weird, disassociated sentences. You're only interested in one thing, that's in getting your own way. So again, it takes that concept of you're only interested in one thing, which if you hear a woman saying that, you anticipate what that means is sex, but here it becomes a much more complicated relationship towards power and domination. You're only interested in one thing, that's getting your own way, which makes it much bigger and much less the typical cliche that we might expect. Then she speaks here, sort of at the end, and then this is where I read some of her comments about her own music. And this is where you understand that she was a journalist, she is a poet. When she speaks in these interviews that I read, she's not trying to do it to like make things very clear, you know, like most good poets. She's not giving you the answer. She's just answering by giving you more questions. She says about her song, I don't owe you a thing. You shout to the husk of your former self, shed on the bathroom floor as you creep out of the apartment door. So potentially, this person who she doesn't owe anything to is herself. Whew. Lots of layers here, no answers, but lots of good questions. Then critical, which I've already described. And then we get to the song Change, where her voice is a little bit more active, a little bit more upfront. And it's cool kind of arpeggiated keyboards here. Not much of a song, really. Just kind of a groovy song with not as much dynamics as in the other songs. But this shows her talent at delivering what should be kind of cheesy lyrics. It's like, I believe we can change, people say we can't. Sort of like preposterously optimistic lyrics. But she has this sort of menacing, haughty tone to her so that she can deliver these lines, which in anyone else's mouth would be like, oh my God, I think we can change, everything will be okay. But instead, it comes across as this is that contradiction I was talking to you about, or one of them. The feeling of just like, I know that these lyrics on the page don't come across with the strength that they have when she's singing. And they really do have this strength. Naysayer seems to be about asking young people to rise up and run the show. Cool kind of funky drum beat, sort of intentionally sloppy keyboard lines. And this is a feeling I have all the time. You know, I'm in my 40s. I don't know how old Anika is. I imagine she's 10 years older than she was a decade ago. And definitely by the time you reach your 30s, that's where you get excited for the next generation to take over the world. If the boomers ever go away, it might happen. So that'd be quite nice. I really hope my children rule the world and make my life harder so that life for their children can be better. And that's kind of the theme of this song, which, again, I talk about it a lot, that there's a lot of themes that you hear in songs that I wish would be more prevalent. Optimism in the future generation, I think, should be more prevalent, just because there's a lot of things to be optimistic about. Cool kind of industrial beat on this one, too. Reminds me a little bit of Prodigy. Or The Prodigy? Which one's the rapper and which one is the British big beat group? Whatever it is, I mean the British one, not the member of Mobb Deep. Then we get to the song Sand Witches. I don't really know. That's such a stupid pun, again, but she pulls it off. Like, she just has that energy where she can say basically anything and get away with it. And having a song Sand Witches, it seems such a silly thing, but it's a great song. These cool kind of wah engine sounds, a little bit of piano on there, and the voice just goes over and over again. I don't like what you've become. Never Coming Back is the most upbeat, like nice kind of style song, gets you kind of rocking. I'm not really sure what she's singing about, very much in that kind of Doors method of getting the audience psyched up just by her sort of singing and talking together with a limited range. History books, You're Bound to Be More, Mother, Brother, Father, Sister, come on. I mean, she doesn't say it with that fake southern accent like Morrison did, but you get that sense. When she says, come on, like you hear it and I'm excited, I'm here, I don't know what it means to say that the snake is the best and whatever, but I'm here for whatever it is. I'm coming along with you, even if I don't get what you're talking about. We get to the song Rights, which is another slightly Devo-ish song again. Nice guitar sounds in there. According to her, these lyrics are... Okay, so lyrics I thought were kind of like a Me Too thing. Rocker screams, invite me in, give me yours, I'll show you mine. So I thought it was about a sort of like lack of equality between lovers. But according to her, in her very elliptical and mysterious description of the song, it's about unification, not division. The song is about female, queer, non-binary, marginalized communities, empowerment. The joining of forces, not pitted against each other. I'm not really sure what that means or how it all ties together, but that's the thing. Poetic lyrics intentionally befuddle half-assed critics like myself. Okay, so that's good. So if I don't quite get it, that means that she is succeeding because I don't have my little decoder ring that tells you exactly what it means. When she says, feel your power in here, that's the most feeling that I got of that kind of Jim Morrison excitement. By the way, before I go further, Jim Morrison is a very divisive figure in rock history. I put him along with Elvis Presley as simultaneously overrated and underrated. Overrated by his fans, underrated by his critics. So I try to take a neutral ground with him and just say he was an amazing frontman to a band who was a good, not transcendently good, but a good poet who's very capable of creating this sort of charisma and energy around him. The song Freedom comes up next. Cool kind of like rolling song, you know, like I could imagine being on a train or in a car listening to this. A little bit more Kraftwerky as opposed to Devo-ish as far as that kind of early synthesizer sound. Just a great atmosphere song, you know, and it's nice because all the way throughout the album, she hits different atmospheres at different times. It's always in this sort of bedroom created synthesizer realm, but it can be upbeat, it can be downbeat, it can be sort of all these different places. And then the album ends with a guitar song, sort of out of nowhere. It's an interesting choice that she didn't put this in the middle, because if she put it in the middle, then it would be sort of breaking up the rest of the song, as the album. Whereas this, it's sort of like leading in to something different, like just going into a different place, and I like that. It almost doesn't quite develop, but it does. This was the song where I noticed that she does a lot of enjambment, you know, where she continues a line on the next like, she has an entire line written, but musically, it'll go into the next set of bars or whatever. So she's able to do that a fair amount here, and it creates a sort of rhythm with her words, which on third listen to the album, I realized she does a lot. She uses her words quite rhythmically and quite well. Maybe more rhythmically than melodically, because she doesn't try to go all over the place with her voice. So there's my review of Anika, which, to be honest, I had a really good friend in college named Anika. That's probably why I wanted to review this. Also, you know, I said in my last video to give me suggestions for Thunderground Thursday. In case you don't know, the three criteria I have for reviewing things are I need to have the time, I need to like it, and I need to have something to say. So usually it's the time that gets in the way. And I wanted to thank someone named Jerry, who brought up an album that came out this month by Justice Cow, and I liked it quite a bit. I probably would have had something to say about it. I just don't have the time to review it. I mean, Billie Eilish and Kanye are coming out within the next couple weeks, so whew. But I'm just going to quote him, in case you're curious about listening to Justice Cow. He calls it art pop with lots of flair. And I listened to the whole album, and I'd say that's what it is. So check out Justice Cow as well. That's Justice Cow, not just us, comma, cow. All right, well then, for everybody, I just want to end the video. So I don't know why I said for everybody. There's the camera.